Alright, so this is my review video here. So the last video of me covering E3, and this time, just give y'all my reactions regarding what I saw at E3. So let's get straight into it, because it's a lot that I need to cover. So let's start with Microsoft as a whole, and they seem safe with their press conference, and they focus only on games. So their big games are the following, and some of these games are like for the P3 as well, like Homefront, the new Homefront, which don't have a release date. Sunset Overdrive, which does have a release date. Halo 5, which we know coming next year. Halo Master Chief Collection, which is coming out, which does have a release date. Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is probably be on the P4, but no release date. The Division, which will come out next year, but Microsoft will get that content first because of the whole deal with EA. Crackdown 3, which don't have a release date, but also will be on the P4 probably, but it's not a big enough splash. And then of course there's Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and they showed us gameplay for the single player, and that's it. And I'll get more on Call of Duty in a second. Now the bad thing about Microsoft is no Gears of War 4, and that's basically the bad thing about their press conference. And even though the developers talked in their press conference, but each segment, there was like 4 or 5 of them, they lasted for like 20 seconds. So it was no big deal. It wasn't like a big letdown like EA's press conference, more of them in a second. Now let's get to Sony real quick. Sony was more informative. So they focused on games, but they at the same time they also focused on bundles and DLCs, more DLCs than what Xbox did, Microsoft did rather, and betas, which is something Microsoft did not touch upon at all. No betas of any kind from Microsoft. So obviously we talked about Destiny, which will also be on Xbox One. However, there's a beta for Destiny for P4 cast, which is out now. The first alpha, whatever it's called, and then another beta will come out in July, I think the 15th. And there's a bundle for this one, as I already explained in my Sony video. The Order 1886, they talk about that, which does have a release date. These are their remaining big games. Little Big Planet 3, which does have a release date to a certain degree, which is November. Bloodborne, which will be coming out 2015. Far Cry 4, which will probably be on the Xbox as well, which is coming out 2015. But, I mean, not 15, 2014, November 18th to be exact. But it will probably be a P4 exclusive, I believe. Well, not exclusive, like favor the P4 more, like the Batman series and Battlefield, so forth and whatnot. Grim Fandango remastered. It got a good reaction from the crowd, so that's probably going to be a big game. Let It Die, a new IP. I'm not sure that's going to be on the Xbox One. I doubt it. That's going to come out next year, and that game looked crazy. And then they talk about the PlayStation Now, where you can play P3 titles on the P4. Xbox One, obviously there was nothing about playing the Xbox 360 titles in their system. And then of course there was the Battlefield Hardline, and they showed us gameplay too, but for multiplayer. And they gave us a beta. Now obviously the beta was given by EA, but it was geared towards Sony. And then the bad thing about Sony was there was no God of War 4. Oh, and y'all forgot, they also mentioned Uncharted, which does have a release date some kind. We know it's coming out next year. And like I was saying, there's no God of War 4, and there was nothing from Square Enix in this press conference. Now let's talk about Call of Duty and Battlefield. And like, it's amazing to me, like, Call of Duty still don't get it right when it comes to presenting their games at E3. We want multiplayer. The majority of these shooters, the FPS cats, all they play are multiplayer. Now granted, some of them do play single player. I bet there's not that many, but the majority of these cats play multiplayer. And this single player, the campaigns rather, they're not really long enough to make people care about single player, referring to the Call of Duty cats. So that's why they messed up, and there was no beta again, and they messed up again on that. Battlefield, they got it right on the nose. They presented us with multiplayer gameplay. They presented to us a beta, and it was on the right system, the PlayStation 4. It's more PlayStation 4 exclusive with the content and the things of that nature. So they geared more toward PS4, where Call of Duty is geared more toward Xbox One. So Battlefield is on the right step to being the next king of shooters. Now let's talk about Nintendo. Now as far as who had the better conference between Sony and Microsoft, I will reveal that answer on Wednesday. Now, who had the better press conference overall? That's Nintendo. That's Nintendo all day. Nintendo went hard this year. Their big games. All of their big games have release dates of some kind. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, we know we're coming out this year. Yoshi's Woolly World. How do you pronounce that crap? And that one is coming out next year. 2015. Legend of Zelda comes out next year. Bayonetta 2, which will come with Bayonetta 1, comes out this year. This October, in fact. Hyrule Warriors comes out September 26th. Xenoblade Chronicle X, that one will come out next year, 2015. Splatoon, 2015. Star Fox, 2015. And Devil's Third. And I forgot what... Oh, there was no release date for that one. So actually, that's the only one that don't have a release date. But the other games that was presented at the digital event, they all have release dates. Devil's Third were not presented at the digital event. It should have been, because that game looked amazing. But I had to consider that to be a big game, because that game was just crazy. Now let's talk about the game companies' press conference, referring to EA and Ubisoft. With EA, they fell off the map. It was too much of the developers talking, especially about the big games, referring to Mirror Edge 2, Star Wars Battlefront. And the real thing that disappointed me about the Battlefront game was the quote, Steve Morris Spring 2015. That is disappointing. So it tells me, again, I already talked about this on the EA/Ubisoft video, they're telling me with that quote that they're saying the game won't be out by that time, but we'll have more information about the game at that time. And I'm like, what? No. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that nonsense. At least stay in development, because that's what Square Enix was doing with Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15. But don't say no crap like Seymour Spring 2015. That's too far away. It was one thing they say Seymour September 2014, or sometime this year that is somewhat close. But spring of 2015, that's far, and that could be anything from March, April, May, or early June, because early part of June technically still counts as spring, to be official. So yeah, that was disappointing. And of course, the developers talked about the new Mass Effect, but it might be that Mass Effect 4. It might be a spin-off. We don't know. But all they did was just talked about it. That was it, and that was disappointing as well. And they showed a lot of trailers, but not enough gameplay. Also disappointing. And there was really no bombshells with EA. They announced the games that we expect them to announce. Dragon Age Inquisition, The Sims 4, UFC. Now that was a shocker. The fact that that's coming out next week, this Tuesday, that's a shocker. NHL 15, no release date, but it looks sweet. FIFA 15 comes out this fall. Battlefield Hardline, we know about that game because they presented us with the beta thing. That's the only one they got right. But then we turn to Ubisoft, and they start strong and finish strong. With them, it was quality over quantity. And their big games are Far Cry 4, Valiant Heroes, The Great War, and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, Far Cry 4 was presented by Ubisoft first before Sony presented it. And then, of course, Just Dance 15. It's somewhat of a big game because it's the best dancing game in the market today, in my opinion. So that's why you could consider Just Dance 15 to be a big game. It depends on, the gamer demographic, so to speak. Like the casual gamer, And then, of course, there was the other games that was there as well. NBA Live 15. And when I saw EA press conference, there was no mention of NBA Live 15. I'm like, yes, they're not going to make a Live 15. But then I actually saw the trailer on the side video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why? And it comes out on the same day as NBA 2K15, which is surprising they didn't make an appearance. I'm surprised they didn't make an appearance. So, but either way, I'm like, why EA? Why are you still trying to make NBA Live 15 and try to compete with 2K? It's not happening. Even though 2K has been falling off to some degree, even though they got it most of it correct with 2K14 on the next gen systems only, but y'all not competing. Y'all can't compete. So I'm like, why? Why? Stop competing with 2K. Also, Square Enix announced Hitman Sniper, the Art of Mobile Assassin. So a lot of Sniper fans will be really into that one, and y'all should, keep your ears and eyes open regarding that one. And the two things that really disappointed me about this year's E3 is the fact that we heard nothing about Final Fantasy 15. I was hoping that they would present us with something about the game, like in hopefully a release date for 2015. And it's still possible that it could come out 2015. We just have to wait for the Tokyo Game Show this year to hear about that game. And also, we got extremely little information on Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you saw that Kingdom Hearts 2.5 trailer, as that dude was just standing there like an idiot. If you saw that Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 remix trailer, at the end of that trailer, it was a little snippet of Kingdom Hearts 3. Not gameplay, not a trailer, just two guys talking about whatever. And that was it. So, again, just like Final Fantasy 15, hopefully we'll get more information about Kingdom Hearts 3 at the Tokyo Game Show. And I want, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm leaning towards now. Square Enix kind of disappointed me with that, but they did made up to a certain degree with the 2.5, even though it was announced prior to E3, so it was obviously expected. So as you can see, the game is over, and that's pretty much it for my E3 coverage for this year. This coming Wednesday, Call of Duty, as I will address my 10 Q&As regarding this year E3, my reactions to my answers to those questions, whether they were answered or not. And then, of course, next Saturday will be a brand new episode of The J Show. Also, my album comes out this Tuesday, so get it. Peace!